If QE does not generally lead to consumer price inflation, how does QE lead to financial asset and real asset inflation? That's where, let's see, what's the transmission mechanism and how it works here? Okay, so I'd really encourage you to check out the video series where I walk through kind of what is money printing. And also I go through and I kind of, I don't know if I want to say I use as inspiration, but I took most of those steps right from Lynn Alden's blog post, which if you guys have not checked out, I would strongly suggest you do so. It's just, you go to her website, which I believe is lynnalden.com. The post specifically is lynnalden.com/money-printing. But just go to her website and check that out. It's definitely worth the read. She put a lot of time and energy into it. And it's just as good as one of my whiteboard videos, if not better, because she really goes into the weeds and kind of outlines each step. But that'll help you get your head around why the quantitative easing that they did from 2008 to, call it 2019 or so, did not lead to, we'll call it hyperinflation. I would argue that there was inflation. If you look at the CPI, it definitely went up. It didn't go down. And I would say the CPI is understated. But if you look at the Fed taking their balance sheet from 800 billion up to 4.5 trillion, most people would have said that would have been like Venezuela. And we didn't get Venezuela, we know that. So why didn't that happen? I would argue that, to your point, we kind of got Venezuela in asset prices. We didn't get them in consumer price, the consumer price index. And also Schiff made a great point when I was talking to him the other day. He said that, yeah, we got the inflation, but the whole entire world and the whole economy wants to deflate. So you couldn't see the inflation because it just compensated for what otherwise would have been like a 50 or 70% deflation in asset prices, or maybe even consumer prices themselves. So I think that's how you need to look at it. But as far as what you're referring to, because it really didn't significantly increase M2 money supply, it didn't increase the amount of, let's call them currency units. And I hesitate to say money. And if you watch my videos, these last few that I've done, you'll understand why I'm not calling it money. I'll call it deposits in the commercial banking system, because I think, I don't want to go off on a tangent, but I'm just not going to refer to that as money. They're liabilities of the commercial banking system. They're deposits, what most people would consider money. But you don't have more, let's say, more purchasing power in the real economy chasing the same amount of goods and services with the consistent velocity. So it goes into financial assets. The transmission mechanism is typically the banking system. So what that QE did was lowered interest rates, and Snyder would say that it didn't, but the common belief, that was their intention, let's say, is to lower interest rates on the long end of the curve and get people to go into risk assets and to facilitate lending and to create more demand for loans. And then they kind of tossed the baton over to the commercial banking system and say, okay, guys, go ahead. And now you've got more balance sheet capacity to create more loans, go nuts. And the banking system really didn't do that. Now, was that a supply issue or a demand issue? I don't know. But it just didn't really happen. But now what you'll notice is the Fed is monetizing the debt. So you're seeing M2 really skyrocket. So is it different this time? We'll see.